Hey OpenCorp clients and friends, Michael Beresford here to give you the post-2026 budget summary. The announcements were significant. They were not unexpected. For those of you that have been following our socials over the last few weeks and months, these were all outcomes that we had anticipated, especially as the media drip continued to flow, getting closer to budget night. What we saw, we were fielding a lot of questions from clients concerned around what these announcements might be, what they would mean, what they mean for investors, what's going to change moving forward. And as we always say, there is a very big difference between the headlines and the actual reality in terms of what these announcements mean. And there is amazing opportunity in times of uncertainty, provided you know what the reality is and where the direction of the market is going to be heading as a result. For example, in just the last quarter, 22,500 investment properties have been sold because people freaked out that they were going to be paying more tax. Now, that's 22,500 investors that have since learned on budget night that there was no change to the way that they were going to be taxed on those properties, and the price growth and rent growth that will skyrocket as a result of these policies, they are going to miss out on. Okay, that's why we are so passionate about making sure that our clients are informed and we help you understand the why behind the what gets announced. Because when you understand those drivers, you see amazing results as we've been able to deliver for our clients for the last 20 years. Okay, as I said, we plan on multiple scenarios, and what it does is it just reinforces, and I briefed our business on this yesterday. We talk about our strategy being the most safe and secure way to build substantial wealth over the long term. When you understand these drivers that I'll elaborate on in the next few minutes, you'll understand exactly why we call our strategy exactly that. Okay, so along those lines, to understand what these changes really mean, you need to understand what the government is trying to solve. What is their problem? Okay, our clients are already very well positioned in this environment. We haven't, as an executive team at OpenCorp, bought any established property in the last 20 years. Okay, it's always been brand new, and we've had our Australian Financial Services license requires us to get verified data on our results. Since 2006 to today, OpenCorp clients have outperformed the market by 61% against the real estate benchmark in Australia. So we know our strategy works. Why it works is because we understand and focus on these underlying fundamentals, not the emotion or the panic that drives certain announcements from the government. So let's have a look at what has actually changed. Okay, these slides will come over the top while I'm talking. The big one to begin with, negative gearing. From 1st of July 2027, negative gearing for residential property is limited to new builds only. Great for us, going to increase demand for new builds. Okay, established property will not be able to claim any negative gearing benefit moving forward. Great, Michael, what does that mean? It means that the holding cost for an OpenCorp brand new type property with solid rental yield and maximum tax benefits is about $200 a week. To be able to buy the equivalent property established, it's going to cost you between $600 and $800 a week out of your pocket with no tax benefits as a result of negative gearing being removed. Okay, so for anyone that's held property for the last 5 years, especially in Brisbane and Perth, think about how much money you've made, and think about if you had 3 of those properties that you are able to hold for the same cash flow versus one established property. This is a game changer for brand new. Okay, that's the simple point. It's going to increase demand for new property. Build prices will rise as a result because demand for construction will go up. There is nothing being done to solve the construction workforce shortage, so it's simply going to mean that prices increase. In the coming days and weeks, we're going to be doing a whole series of more detailed videos on exactly what these changes mean with data, tables, analysis to help you understand the bigger picture and exactly how much we think prices are going to rise in a very short space of time. So stay tuned for that. Follow us on socials if you want to be across all of the key information as we move forward. In addition, there's going to be a shift of capital out of the established property market as far as investors are concerned into the new market. And the government acknowledge themselves that these budget measures, they expect 30,000 fewer homes to be built as a result. that means a restricted supply. You're well aware of the population growth, and a little bit more on that to come shortly. That's going to explode. Rents will increase as a result. Okay, there are the supply challenges. You can build a house, you can have a policy that's pro-supply. What if you don't have the land to be able to build it on? Yes, there was a package of $2 billion that goes towards being able to bring new land developments to market. Developers still need to make a profit before they develop it. That's a challenge. And then you've got all the planning and red tape that goes towards it. So, these policies can sound great, but the reality is land supply will be constrained moving forward, and that will cause prices to rise as well. As we've been saying through many an economic downturn and many a market cycle over the last 20 years, what we will be seeing is owner-occupier activity. If rents increase, people become hell-bent on trying to become homeowners, assuming they have the borrowing capacity. That home ownership is only going to be at one segment of the market, and that's the affordable end of the market. So we will see the entry price rise, hence why we buy properties under the median house price where there's always demand. Just think about your own portfolio. They're probably in suburbs where you personally wouldn't choose to live. My portfolio is the same, but you can't deny that that's the market segment that outperforms. And that lower quartile, as you've seen from all of our client webinars over the last 3 or 4 years, has consistently outperformed the middle and the prestige ends of the market. More to come in the future. As we always say, there's no better time to get in than today. Because of those build price increases, it's just not going to be cheaper to build a new home than what it is today. So don't focus on the fact it's more expensive today than what it was last year. Stiff, that's what it is. Prices will continue to go up. The longer you wait, the more you'll pay. It's pretty simple. Okay, that's negative gearing and the impact on that. If we look at grandfathering specifically, so in short, there is no change for any investor, whether they've bought new property or existing property. The existing properties they have in their portfolio, the tax conditions when they bought that property will remain. Okay, very, very simple. We've been saying through all of our videos in the last 3 or 4 months, there is going to be no downside to buying before budget night. You definitely won't be worse off, but you might be if you wait till after. That's been proven right around established property. New property is obviously going to be favourable. Don't sit on your hands. Take action when you can. Focus on the bigger picture, which I'll continue to work through. If we look at CGT now, the CGT discount, the 50% discount, has been replaced with cost-based indexation. What that means in simple terms, let's say that you bought a property for $500,000, it gets sold for $800,000. That's a capital gain of $300,000. Now, on the previous conditions, that $300,000 would be reduced by 50%. So $150,000 would get added to your income base in the financial year that you sold that property. Now, moving forward, what it's going to mean for people that invested in new property, so for all of the OpenCorp clients out there, great news, you actually get the choice. The government has given you the choice as to whether or not you want the 50% CGT discount to apply or whether you want the indexation treatment to apply. So if you've bought new property, you're reducing your CGT simply by way of the asset that you've bought. Back to the explanation, let's say that post July 1 next year and the indexation comes in, you'll need to get a valuation so that you can, for established property investors, how much of the capital gain has been on the 50% discount, how much of the capital gain will apply with the indexation. What indexation means is it's basically allowing for the inflation that has occurred. So in my previous example, if the capital gain was $300,000, but $100,000 of that growth is just the increase in the compounding of the inflation rate over the time that you held that asset, then the CGT calculation now applies on $200K. Okay, so the impact of inflation is effectively taken into account there. So what does it mean? The CGT changes is applying to all assets, shares as well, farms, etc. The reason why they've made it effective from 1st of July is because there's no incentive for people to sell now. They didn't want to have a mass sell-off and further impact the housing shortage and the housing crisis. And we know, obviously, it's going to be far favourable for new properties. Okay. Context is really important here, that point on the right-hand side. Jim Chalmers said in his budget speech that since 1999, house prices have grown 400%. All of this is political spin under the flavour of intergenerational fairness or intergenerational equity. Let's be honest, it's a tax grab. The government needs to be generating revenue. I'll explain why in a minute. If prices have gone up 40% since 2009, and the Treasury expect that the impact to prices at most would be a 2% reduction as a result of these tax policy changes, that tells us two things. Number one, it's a tax grab, right? Number two, it tells us that even if you were 398% better off since 1999, you've done very, very well out of property. Okay, so let's keep these things in perspective. The government want a very strong housing market. They're not going to impact that housing market. They need to be raising tax revenue. Stamp duty is a really key part of that. They want the house price growth without the rent growth. This policy is not going to achieve that. Rents will rise dramatically as a result. We saw that when negative gearing was removed in the middle of the 80s, came back after 18 months. Okay. Finally, we talk about supply and demand. Let's talk supply first. Housing infrastructure. There was a $2 billion infrastructure fund that was committed. They said that that was going to allow 65,000 new homes to be built. Let's keep that in context. Yes, it's pro-supply. These policies are going to reduce construction, okay, by 30,000 homes. So really, they're spending $2 billion to increase the supply by 35,000 new homes. Okay, supply is going to be constrained moving forward for all the reasons that I just mentioned. Namely, we don't have the construction workforce to be able to deliver these homes. Our population growth has grown dramatically. Our net overseas migration, only 1,800 of those 300,000 odd net overseas workers work in construction. We're not bringing in the right people. We can't bring these homes to market. Supply will remain constrained. Okay, finally, let's have a look at this around demand. These figures got put up. This is a screen grab for me taking a photo of the TV while I'm sitting on the couch with the kids trying to help them understand whether this is good news or bad news for investors. They could see the smile on my face. Okay. The reality is that the government can talk about net interest rate migration numbers. These figures here are from government in the bottom right corner, from government treasury papers, okay, and budgetary papers and ABS data. You can see on the left-hand side that the federal budget forecasts have always been undercooked versus the actual amount of overseas migration that we have coming in. Okay, in February alone, 100,000 people came into Australia. So use some logic and say, right, well, if they're talking about 300,000 people for the year and 100,000 came in 1 month, okay, we can see the trend that is going to happen, and we can see how this is going to materialize moving forward. So if we think about, what that the bigger picture that maybe people aren't aware of or aren't keeping front of mind, housing is still a key part of our economic engine. Okay, the government needs to be generating tax revenue. Stamp duty is a major way to do that. Australia relies on migration. We rely on population growth. The number of workers to taxpayers continues to shrink, and Matt Lewison will delve into this in a lot of detail with some fascinating data that he shared with us yesterday. Okay, so we'll get you across that. But the bottom line is population growth is here to stay, and our supply cannot keep up. So from all the questions that we get talking to investors and people that are yet to invest on a daily basis, people think housing is expensive because of investors. Structurally, it's because demand continues to exceed supply, and that is not an investment problem. The government need investors. They need to make it attractive to invest. They just want us investing in the right kind of stuff that they believe helps grow the supply of property. And that's exactly what these policies are designed to do. So, some of our clients have panicked, have at least reached out. We've been able to help them understand the fundamentals, which is what we are here for. Okay, we understand that there is so much information out there. The media love the clickbait. What does it actually mean for me? What's it going to mean for my portfolio? What does it mean moving forward? That's what we're here to help you with. You just need to be able to reach out to us, okay? Don't stew on stuff yourself and try and get more information from the media. We're here to help you and guide you through it. Okay. New investors, or investors of new builds will benefit. Okay. The rental market will tighten and we will see rents rise. So despite these policy changes, we remain very confident in the future of our investment strategy and specifically of new property as an investment strategy moving forward. I just want to make sure I've covered all of the points here that I wanted to go through. Yeah, I have. I can't reinforce enough, okay, that making emotional and irrational decisions quickly in response to things that can scare you, and uncertainty can be scary, is probably the biggest mistake that people make. Just think back to people with investments in Queensland. Think back to when they talked about increasing the land tax. 170,000 properties got sold in 18 months. That's the reason for the rental crisis. Think about if you had reacted and sold a property in 2022 in Queensland, you'd probably be $300,000 or $400,000 worse off, and you would have lost out on $200 to $250 a week in rent. So you have a property now that is effectively cash flow neutral or very close to it, growing at a rapid rate and has increased your net wealth substantially. But if you reacted rationally and emotionally to that decision, the policy didn't even come in. Okay, we don't want our clients to be in that boat where they're missing out on opportunities and being fearful of what the changes mean. Not all change is bad. You need to understand what the change means, understand what it means specifically for you, and pivot if needed. We're looking at this stuff weeks and months in advance. That's what we're here to help for. So I hope that's been useful. If you want further information and further updates, we wanted to get this to you quickly, then follow us on all of our socials: Instagram, Facebook, YouTube are the main ones. LinkedIn as well, if you like. We're going to be drip feeding more and more content in bite-sized formats in the days and weeks to come. And there will be a detailed presentation in typical Matt Lewis and market update style that will give you all of there's so much juice in there. We saw it yesterday, or aspects of it yesterday. It is fascinating information. It is essential information for any investor. So keep an eye out for that. Reach out in response to this email, if you want to be across that information, and we can ensure that you're being drip fed everything that you need to be across. But I hope that's been useful. It's good news for us as a budget. It's pro supply, it's pro new builds. Status quo in terms of tax benefits and negative gearing, low cost to hold properties that allow us to build a portfolio and give us compound growth is still where it's at. Thanks for joining me. Bye for now.